The St. Louis Cardinals secured a series win at home against one of the best teams in baseball in the New York Mets this week, including a sweep of the doubleheader today with Michael McGreevy leading the way today in game 2. Some big offensive performances, especially from like a Victor Scott II today. Some good defense all around. It was a really fun day for the Cardinals and a lot of St. Louis fans. Obviously the Blues game isn't over yet, so maybe if you're watching this later, you might be very excited. You might not be. But we're gonna break down the Cardinal series with the Mets, and just and even some bigger picture thoughts about what they should do with McGreevy and some other stuff on this episode of Deal on the Cards. Hey, welcome back to Deal on Cards. I'm Josh, joined by Andrew and Sandy. As always, again, we go twice a week over here, or live twice a week over here on Deal on Cards channel. We also have Birds on the Farm with Kareem and Sandy that goes live each week. Q&A episodes, all different types of things that cover St. Louis Cardinals baseball here. Sandy, I know that you're not going to be here super long because you're going to jump back into the Blues game once the break's over. So I think we got to lead off with you. Like, what did you think of McDreamy today?
Dude, it was awesome. It was great to see him pitch. I'm just glad to see him finally get an opportunity. It had to come in the doubleheader, but he really did give us a full start of data.
Yeah.
Nice to see him carry over what he was doing last season. He was unbelievable. I mean, here, I'm pulling up the stats right now, but I'm pretty sure he pitched 5 2/3. I did show it to
5 2/3. He had 5 strikeouts, 1 hit allowed, 1 walk. It was a great outing.
It was really, really good stuff. And I showed it to one of my friends. I love seeing stuff like this where you only use 2 pitchers, you know? Showed him where I was like, this is perfect managing. Ollie, I love it. Riding McGreevy to the end, even in a close game, let him get those high leverage innings in. I mean, it was just really, really good stuff. So I very much enjoyed that. And it was good to see him get in there. I know Palante was struggling. He gave up 9 hits in his 3 1/3 innings of work, you know, also walked 4. Good to see McGreevy be the only Cardinal pitcher today not to walk the house too. So yeah, very excited about that. I mean, look, if the Cardinals aren't going to give him a chance, I don't know what else to tell him at this point. Like, clearly McGreevy is an option that you need to be going with very shortly. You know, he's definitely ready. He keeps producing at the big league level in every chance he's gotten.
So because you have to go, let's just go ahead and circle that point, and then we can talk about other things too. But like, how? So if McGreevy needs to be in this rotation right now, how do you make the space? Because I would say, again, it's not a long-term, you're giving a Palante type of thing, but it's,
I agree.
I think the move to me is you send, because they're not going to DFA Michaelis, so they're not going to trade someone. Obviously those are like the big ideas, but you send Palante down to Memphis, you let him work on things. He had a terrible spring. He had a pretty good start to the year, and it's been rough lately. I think you let him go down, you let him some work on some things, see if he can get his mojo back. And then assuming an injury happens the next few weeks here, he's right back into the rotation. I don't think it's a long stint down there. Is that the roster move they should be going with tomorrow? Or again, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they send McGreevy down. So I'm not saying they won't do that, but is it worth shaking the rotation up a little bit to fit him in there? Or is it not worth sending down Palante?
Yeah, a couple things here, I guess. I think I agree with you that, well, I don't know if you said that, but I do think they'll send McGreevy down. Like, I think that's the move the Cardinals
I think they probably will.
I disagree with that move, and I don't know if I love it, but I think that's what they'll do. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to work him in, right? Like, for me, I think they should have traded Eric Fetty this offseason, but we talked about that last episode. And I think there should have been a spot for McGreevy from the beginning, right? But we've talked about that. That didn't happen. I can't live in the past, and I can't criticize them anymore because I've already done it enough. Yeah, I agree. They're not going to DFA Michaelis. And honestly, he's pitching well enough right now that he's not an automatic loss every time he hits the mound. So that's not the worst thing ever. And yeah, I mean, you're already trying to work in extra guys, right? It's not like you can move Matz to the bullpen. He's already in the bullpen. I guess you could go with the 6-man rotation, but you'd have to send somebody else down. You'd have to move Matz full-time to the bullpen and send another guy down. I don't think that's going to happen. So I actually don't hate, when you said it earlier, like send Palante down, I was really against it. Because for me, right, I'm seeing Palante as probably your most successful homegrown starter to this point in a long time. And it's like, look, you gotta ride with this guy. You gotta give him the time. But I guess if you send him down and you're clear with him, hey, this is to get you right. You know, we know it hasn't been a great year so far. Although he had that one great start earlier in this, but you know, I haven't seen a ton of that.
Yeah.
I guess I don't hate it at that point. I think it's possible that they could do that. And as long as you're like, hey, you're the next guy in line. And as long as they don't pigeonhole him into a bullpen spot, you know, like he's still a starter. I don't think they would either. So he's still a starter. And that's the guy. I think it's fine.
Well, here's the point. Here, I think why, and Andrew, I want you to start talking about this too. Like, I don't think they can put either of them in the bullpen because they don't have depth right now. Everyone's hurt, and so like it's got to be one or the other in Memphis because they need someone who can come up again. As long as they're wanting to contend, like if this was a true throwaway year, which I mean, honestly, should be, but if it was, then you really don't care because it's whatever. You go sign someone. I mean, you can do that anyways. You can go sign there's million starters out there, veteran starters available in free agency, but I doubt there's a world where you get I don't think you move Matt to the bullpen full time because then that's killing a potential rotation option depth, and I don't think you put Palante or McGreevy into the bullpen. But Andrew, I mean, are you team McGreevy has to be in this rotation right now, and if so, how are you making it work?
Yeah, I mean, I think he made a really tough decision today, and I was kind of worried when McGreevy got called up the other day that they were just going to use him for an inning or two. But thankfully, in Game 1, the Mets made it close enough where the Cardinals had to use all of their high leverage relievers, basically giving Ollie the option of either stick with McGreevy or go to like John King or Rodri Munoz. And I think he made the right call there. I don't think anyone would have pulled McGreevy in that situation. He was dealing, and I think this should cement him as a starter from now on. I don't think there should be any more McGreevy in the bullpen talk. I think that's crazy.
Never should have had that talk.
Well, yeah, it never should have happened. And I think today's outing, 5 2/3, 1 hit, 1 walk. I don't remember how
against a great Mets lineup.
Also, that one walk was very fake because that was strike 3. Thanks, umpire. But it's okay. We got a couple good calls in the first game, so I'm not going to be too upset about that. But yeah, I mean, he's looked really good every single opportunity he's gotten to pitch at the major league level. He looked really good today. He looked really good in spring, and he looked really good last year. So I see no reason not to give him a shot. I think he's earned it, and I think it sends the wrong message to the players that you could come up and pitch so well for like not just one appearance. Like this has been, I think, 3 or 4 separate appearances where he's been really, really good. And is he getting a little bit lucky? Maybe. I mean, I feel like there were a couple hard hit balls today that were caught, but you're not expecting Michael McGreevy to be a sub-2 ERA guy. You're probably going to expect him to be a mid-3s, low 4s kind of guy, and that's what you want him to be. And if that's what he is, that's a success right there. So not really worried about that. The issue is where is he going to play? The pitch count? I think it was like 70, 60.
Like, I mean, honestly, that's 6 innings of work. Yeah. And 80.
Took him 80 pitches.
So you probably, if he had started the game, you'd probably have let him finish that 6th inning and then pulled him.
Yeah.
Good stuff, dude.
And then him coming in also, loaded.
Exactly. I was about to say that. He'd come in a super high leverage spot.
So, there's that. Yeah. That I think is really encouraging. And, where does he play? I don't know. I was hoping Miles Michaelis would have been bad enough to DFA by now, but I think we're stuck with him at least until the All-Star break at this point, right? Because he's given you two good appearances in a row. And, I think Steven Matz, if you want to trade him, now's the chance to trade him, right? Like there's teams in need of starters. And he's been probably the best pitcher on the team other than like Kyle Leahy, right? Like I think in terms of run prevention, Steven Matz has just been really good. And I don't think that's who Steven Matz is as a pitcher, right? I don't think he's the lockdown lefty that he's kind of been so far this season. But
I mean, how often do trades in May happen? Like, it's pretty rare.
Not very often, but like. But what do you expect to get for Steven Matz? Nothing, really. Like,
why would Steven Matz be less valuable now than at the deadline? Like, I mean, I think that he
gets hurt. Out of all of the pitchers on this team, I feel like Steven Matz is most at risk to get hurt.
Yeah. I mean, I think you shop. I mean, if I were them right now, I'd be shopping him. But I'm not like it's a travesty if they don't deal him because again, it's like you're 1 or 2 injuries away from having nothing. And so Steven Matz gives you depth. And then if he gets into the rotation and keeps pitching, and again, he doesn't need to maintain a sub-2 ERA to be valuable. If he's in the mid to high 3s, that's a valuable start at the deadline. And again, I know our Steven Matz experience has been jaded for the most part, but there's a reason why Sandy especially, but then at times myself have been like, this Steven Matz might be the second most talented starter on the roster at different times because
I've been a Steven Matz fan. I've been on the
at different times in his career. He has more swing and miss than anyone else in the rotation, not named Sonny Gray, and he's a guy that could be a middle of the rotation starter. I'm not saying he is those things, so do not like start saying I'm glazing Steven Matz, but I'm like, I see the idea that if you're not getting great offers right now, you ride it to the deadline because again, it's feast and famine, supply and demand. And like, remember last deadline, Eric Fetty was the best starting pitcher moved. And so like, you just don't really see a lot of great starters available. That's true. But like most teams are out of it, or most teams are in the race, and so they're not trading their pitching. And so it's really feast or famine. But I think the more and more we think about and talk about it, the more I'm like, it seems just so easy to me that you make the Palante move because this isn't Jordan Walker. This isn't Nolan Gorman. This isn't Nootbaar, guys like that like are true potential cornerstone pieces of your team long term. This is a guy that you're excited is like a back of the rotation option, but Palante isn't. He's not a guy that if you give a stint in Memphis is a big problem.
I mean, honestly, people might hate this comparison, but I feel like there's some level of comparison to Lars Nootbaar in some sense in terms of Palante, right? Like this is a guy that people thought the ceiling was low. Okay, so when Nootbaar came up, people thought the ceiling was low. People thought that he was not a player that was going to be an everyday guy. He was no. Think about what Nootbaar was. He was a glove first corner outfielder, right? Like people did not believe in the profile. Did everyone have Nootbaar inside their organizational top 30?
Well, yes to that. I get where we're going with that, but not like, I mean, the ceiling. I don't think Palante's touched the ceiling Nootbaar has right now.
No, not at all. But no one thought Nootbaar had that ceiling. Like if you could go back to the day Lars Nootbaar debuted, and you told people, hey, this guy could play center field well and have an 800 plus OPS, they'd say that is not in the range of outcomes for that.
Yeah, I just would be. I just do not see a world where we're talking about Palante a year from now like we would.
No, we're not. But Palante was the best starter on the team last year once he actually started pitching.
Yeah, but even then, we know his profile is a guy that's trying to do sweet contact, and so it's like at the end of the day, it's like anyways. And I mean, again, that's Michael McGreevy too to an extent. So it's like we're not talking about Michael McGreevy a stud, but like here's let me just. Michael McGreevy has now pitched 5 times in the major leagues. He went 7 innings, allowing 1 run on 5 hits. Then he got a relief appearance where he went 3 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs. He had a start in Colorado where he goes 5 innings, allows 3 runs. But again, this is Coors Field and his second start ever at the major league level. Then he goes 8 innings of 5 hits and 1 run ball against the Giants in his last start of the year. Awesome. And then again, he comes in relief today against a tough Mets team, bases loaded. Was it Pete Alonso at the plate when he came up there? Yeah. And strikes out Pete Alonso and then gets Vientos to fly out, I think is the next one. Goes 5 2/3 innings, 1 hit. He hit a batter. I forgot about that and walked a guy. 5 strikeouts. Like that. I mean, how do you send that guy down? I just don't know how you do it. At this point, especially when you have the ability to move Palante down. And again, it's not a long-term thing where I'm being like, oh, this guy needs to figure things out. It's like, hey, one of these dudes shoves every time he pitches, and you like Palante, you've had 6 starts so far, and it's been so. And McGreevy outpitched you in spring training too. So like at this point, like you got to give it to the guy that's performing, and that's my opinion. And that's not true. I do actually never mind. I'll say it's a travesty to send McGreevy down. You guys start making some tough decisions, and like I'd be so frustrated.
All right, I'm either going to be back in a few minutes in shambles, or crying tears of joy, but the Blues are back, and I will not end the stream. I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to remove myself.
Great. Let's thank a couple sponsors of our podcast, and then let's talk about Victor Scott, because holy cow, that dude had a game today, a couple of games today. And this weekend and in general, he's just been on fire lately. But as always, we want to thank 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located at 9640 Olive Boulevard and all of that. Open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. They have the newest selections of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. Got to go check them out. They're great. We know many of you already shop there already. And so again, let them know we sent you. Send us what you pull in packs or cards that you snag from them while you're there. They're super great. So make sure you go check out 314. And then we also want to tell you about one of our newer sponsors, and that's Underdog Sports. The Deal on the Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. You got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. Make sure you use that promo code CARDS, underdog. Get the Blues go to the next round. You can pick guys to, I don't know what you bet. I don't know what you pick on for hockey. Is it shots and icings? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know anything about hockey.
I think Eric Fetty might have hit the higher on the strikeouts for the first time.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't actually put it down. So
you pick Michael McGreevy in the lower for runs, all those type of things. So make sure you go check that out. But Mr. Victor Scott II today, robbing a 3-run homer from Juan Soto, the game-winning RBI double, where he sends in Pozo from first base, which is just hilarious to watch if you haven't watched that yet. On the season, Victor Scott is now slashing 287, 356, 419 with the 775 slug. He has 2 home runs, 15 RBIs, 11 stolen bases, hasn't been caught a single time. I'll have to check, but I think he's like 15 to 18% above league, or maybe 12% below or above league average right now. And this is after he was 60% below league average at the plate last year. He was a fine defender last year, but he was mostly just above average out there. He wasn't necessarily playing to his strengths. This year, he's like 99th percentile in outs above average. He's, again, top 5 in all baseball and steals and hasn't been caught a single time yet. And again, he's a well above average hitter at the plate right now, 10% above league average. I don't even know if that includes today's stats. Dude, Victor Scott. I was someone at spring training who was like, don't rush him, don't rush him, don't rush him. Make sure he's ready. He's ready. I'm so glad he is. I'm in front of the pod. We love Victor Scott. He's awesome. He's here to stay. He's the center field of their future right now. He's already worth 1 WAR on the season so far, which is pretty crazy. He's negative 0.4 WAR player last year in 53 games. What are you seeing from Victor Scott right now? And like, how impressed are you by him, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, he's here to stay. The bats looked really good. I'm obviously not expecting this to necessarily stick the whole season.
Yeah.
I could see like him having some rough patches, and that's totally fine. The glove has looked really good. He brought back a homer from Juan Soto today that, if that had gone out, then the Cardinals would have lost, and, that would have been really unfortunate. But, make some plays when he needs to. And, Michael Ciani, I've never even heard of that guy, Like Victor Scott, I feel like is taking up the defensive needs in center field, and there's not even really need for Michael Ciani again, really, unless Scott gets hurt. But yeah, I'm excited with what we've seen from him. It makes the Tommy Edman trade hurt a lot less. I don't think we've actually like publicly acknowledged the Tommy Edman trade and all the discourse surrounding that.
We talked about one of the episodes recently,
but. Okay, maybe I wasn't there. I've been on the IL a little bit recently, but he's a center fielder of the future, and I feel like we've seen enough. Like the floor is so high that even if he's not a great hitter, he'll at least be better than Michael Ciani, which we ran out there for a team with a winning record for like 100 games last year. So I'm excited for that, and not a lot else to say about Victor Scott. He's just been one of the most exciting players to watch on this team over the last couple of weeks, especially this weekend. It's been really good, really encouraging to see from him.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest takeaway from Scott this year so far is the fact that he has really reasserted himself as the kind of guy that we thought he could be going into 2023, and he just wasn't ready yet. And it's unfortunate, but like, he made the jump from AA to the major league, so it's not shocking at all. I mean, we saw Jordan Walker do that, and it has not gone very well. We've seen plenty of guys do that before, and sometimes it works out, but usually it's like the superstars that works out for, not necessarily the guys where it's like, we love Victor Scott, but he's not a superstar. But I do think I'm regaining like that. We did that. I remember it's kind of infamous now, but we did that like prospect rankings of like who's untouchable and all, and we're like the most untouchable, important prospect in the system. We said was Victor Scott, and again, when we explained it at the time, this is going into 2024, we were like, hey, we're not saying he's the best prospect, but we are saying he's the most important at the moment and the guy we're most excited about because of the role that he could fill in center field compared to, I mean, at that time, you didn't have JJ Weatherholt. It was your Q's competing with Tink Hens, Thomas JC. Quinn Matthews hadn't risen yet. So, I mean, if we did that, if we knew those things were going to happen, we'd probably change that list a lot. Walker wasn't a prospect anymore. So it was definitely Mason Wynn was the guy that he was competing with on that list for us. And our point was like,
I feel like they've been similar.
Yeah, you're right. And also like both of them in it, like Victor Scott and Mason Wynn have both filled roles that the Cardinals don't have another option for. They don't have a long-term shortstop in the future. Like if it's not Mason Wynn, like I love Thomas DeJC, but he's not your starting shortstop long-term. I guess JJ Weatherholt now, so that's different. But Victor Scott, it's like if it's not Scott, maybe it's Chase Davis. He's looked pretty good this year, but again, he's pretty far away still. And just like the ability that Scott brings you in all three phases now, where again, you don't need Victor Scott to be an MVP hitter. You don't need him to be 20% above league average right now. Honestly, if he was hitting league average, I'd be so happy about it. I thought like a good year from him would be 95 WRC plus, maybe even a 90, where it's like, hey, as long as you're like not terrible at the plate and you're providing on the base pass in the field, it's great. He is a net positive. He's an impact player at the plate right now. Again, to your point, I don't know how much that lasts all year long, but so far so good. Again, he's a beast on the base pass, and he's truly one of the best defensive center fielders so far this year. I think all three of those things play into his favor in a big way, and it makes his floor really high to me because you know when the bat's not there, now you know the defense and the speed will be, and you know his bat is able to play up more than it has. Pete Crow Armstrong, had some Cubs fans come at me the other day and like find an old tweet of mine about him. And it's like, obviously, Scott's not producing like PCA is at the plate right now. PCA is just hitting home runs left and right. He's like 30% above the average of the plate. But it's like, I think PCA is going to come down to earth here soon. And you see the hype that he's getting around baseball right now. Again, he's hitting bombs right now. So I get it's a different tier. But I think there's a reason why baseball, like Cubs fans, but then also people in baseball have been so high on like the potential of a PCA type player, because when you get a center fielder who can be as impactful as these guys are defensively, impactful as these guys are in the base pass, and have potential to be in like impact bats, again, not Juan Soto's or even Lars Nootbaars or Brandon Donovan's, but like above league average guys, better than Harrison Bader at the plate type guys, like that's a really, really impactful player to have on your roster. And so I'm really excited to see what happens with Scott. I'm super intrigued by what lineup constructions are going to look like in the near future, because I mean, right now, I don't think you can take Lars Nootbaar out of the leadoff spot. He's been awesome. Contreras is batting fifth right now. Wynn batting second. Obviously, he might be hitting the IL right now. So does Contreras go back to there? But does Ivan Herrera hit second when he comes back? I think that would be a great spot for him. I kind of feel like Victor Scott's stuck at the bottom of the order for now. And actually, I love that because I feel like that's less pressure for him. And then again, when he gets on base, you've got Nootbaar and either whether it's Herrera or Contreras or Wynn, Donovan, you have these guys behind him who can one single into the outfield, and Scott might be scoring.
Yeah, I mean, the ability to run the bases like he does is crazy good. Like you can turn a walk into a double, and I think I just looked at his on base percentage, and you're talking about PCA, and I lost it. He has a 356 on base percentage right now, and he's just drawing walks, and he's seeing the ball well, and you know, like for a player like him to draw the amount of walks that he does is really valuable, because once pitchers know that he has a discipline, like you can turn a walk into a double, so he might get better pitches to hit too in that case, and you know, he can do the damage with the bat too. Like he can, he's been hitting the ball really well. Has 2 homers already on the season, so he has a little bit of sneaky power too. Although I don't think he should be, you know, tapping into it as much with the speed tool that he has. But I think Victor Scott's here to stay. He's going to be one of those cornerstone pieces that you build around, and you know, not necessarily a star. Like you're still looking for, you know, a top hitter in the league that you develop homegrown. I don't know if that's going to be coming anytime soon. Maybe whoever the Cardinals end up drafting this year turns into that, but that's what Jordan Walker was supposed to be. That's what Nolan Gorman was kind of supposed to be. You know, if those guys can turn it around, that would be nice. But those are good supplemental pieces. I feel like the Cardinals have several really good supplemental pieces. A couple guys that I feel like might be able to lead an offense, like when they're really hot. But
yeah,
you know, I'm still worried that they don't have that guy. You know, because that's what Walker was supposed to be. So Gorman. I mean, I don't know if Gorman is even supposed to be that kind of guy, but Jordan Walker is just. Maybe we can get into that, but.
Can I test run a take by you and
Sure.
and those listening right now? I think one of my bigger takeaways right now, and again, this could change, but one of the things I'm starting to feel like I feel pretty confident in is especially on the offense, and maybe when it comes to the rotation. The Cardinals are starting to show. Actually, let me just focus on the offense right now. The Cardinals have all the pieces right now around the lineup to make it like an excellent top lineup. They're just missing, like you said, that impact bat. They're missing that superstar in the middle. Contreras is kind of one of those. Ivan Herrera could supplement. Maybe he's the third or fourth best bat. Nootbaar can masquerade. Like you have guys that can be like maybe the third best, maybe the fourth best. But you have like a lineup full of, on a good offense, the fourth or fifth best hitter on a team. And so if, again, I don't know if they're going to do this, but it makes me think like if they can, one of these guys pops like Walker or JJ or Yari Padilla or Ronel Rodriguez, or they go out and trade for a guy, or they sign like a true superstar bat. Again, we're not talking like Kyle Schwarber here, except he can hit pretty great sometimes. But if they go and get their, again, not actually this guy, but they go get their Gunnar Henderson, they go get their Kyle Tucker. I think this lineup could very quickly become a true force in baseball because you've got that middle order bat that you need to truly be at like one of the best, but you've got all the other pieces around it to just come and go and go and go in a way that I just don't see other lineups having this kind of depth frequently. I'm not saying not saying the Cardinals are the only lineup that has that, but they've got those, and they're young pieces, right? Most of these guys are cost controlled for a while. It's really intriguing to me and really interesting. And it's like, okay, like if Crooks comes up and JJ comes up and you have some of these guys that produce, like, maybe you do make some tough decisions on some of the guys around the roster. Yeah, Pozo can maybe be that bad. But maybe you do use like Sajc, or you do move Walker. I mean, Walker and Gorman right now, and Sajc, like those guys are not getting you anything. But maybe you do part with Lars Nootbaar at some point, and you package them to go get something super great, or use Chase. I don't know. They could get creative with how they do things. So I think this lineup is really good. I just think it's limited in its ceiling, and it's very inconsistent because they don't have a true superstar in the middle, and they're a young team that's test running some bats that, again, if this was the 2022 Cardinals, Jordan Walker wouldn't be in the lineup right now. He'd be in AAA. And Nolan Gorman, same thing. But they're going to test run it, and so they're kind of limiting what they can do offensively. But like we had that episode the other day where Sandy and I were talking about the lineup, and he was kind of frustrated by like the amount of 3-run games. And Bernie, a good friend of ours, like sent me a message after. It was like, hey, listen to your guys' episode, and I went and did crunch the numbers, and like the Cardinals weren't all that different from most lineups. Like there were a lot of teams that had the same amount of 1-run or fewer games. So the Cardinals aren't as like sporadic as we think they are. It's just when you watch them every day, it feels like that. But on the hitting side, I think I'm really optimistic about this lineup. I just know they're missing the most important piece, which is a huge issue. But it's like, hey, like it's nice to know you're not missing a lot. You're just missing that most critical piece. On the pitching side, it's like, well, you do have McGreevy and Palante and Liberatore and Matthews and Hentz and all these guys, but it's just so hard for me to have any confidence in that because, again, I'm naming some guys who have never pitched to the big league level or have barely pitched to the big league level, and injuries are just like, you never know. And so, but on the lineup, I feel really confident about that moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, like there's going around, I feel like there's not really a true, like aside from Walker and Gorman, there's not really a true guy that I'm not like completely, sold that can be at least like a competent hitter like Scott and Wynn, or I feel like are the two lowest ceiling hitters in the lineup, but they also like provide the defense that you need to, have a really solid team. And then you add the Herrera and the Contreras, and who knows how long Arenado's going to be here. But then, so JC could be a good fill in at third. Like we'd still need to see that from him. And maybe he'll get that run if Mason Wynn has to go on the IL. But I just feel like,
some motorcycle or something outside.
I just feel like there are a lot of pieces in place, and this team is, I don't know, one or two pieces shy in the lineup of being like one of the best lineups in baseball. The rotation obviously still needs some help as well. But with a lot of payroll coming off the books, who knows?
I do think that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, I was like, I wish they could sign Kyle Tucker. Like they can sign Kyle Tucker, but they probably won't because he's going to $500 million.
Yeah.
And Is he that young? Is he at the age where he would get
27 or 28? I think he is. Yeah, he's gonna get something crazy, but especially because he's by far the best bat that'll be available. Like his market will rise up. But like, okay, so here's
like the Dodgers, like they have like Miguel Rojas and like Kike Hernandez at the bottom of their lineup, and they're just terrible, right? And I don't think if the Cardinals are truly trying to compete, I don't think they would have those guys.
Yeah, which is a big strength, right? That you'd have that kind of depth in the lineup. I do think too, like one of the big wins this year, if they're able to sell on Helsley and Fetty, if they're able to move Nato, especially if he's playing better, like at this point, I think again, we're not talking about a top prospect, but could you get a little more than maybe you thought you'd get this offseason? Hopefully. Do you, again, at some point, do you move Contreras or do you move Sonny Gray? Like those are less pressing to me, but if you can get, and again, Helsley's the one that you really need to bounce back because he can get you something, but then Maton and Mats and Fetty and these type of guys at the deadline, if they're able to, and Nato, if they're able to move them and their money, but also get more organizational depth, it won't be flashy. But I think but the big win long term is that you're building out some of that pitching depth organizationally, where you're not freaking out about losing some starters. You're potentially getting the next Thomas Ajayci who could be off your bench. And if you can fill up your system with enough depth here, you can start making some aggressive moves for some guys and go out and try to trade for, because they're also missing that ace too. Like that's why on the pitching side I was like afraid to talk about it, because it's like I love the potential of Quinn Matthews, and who knows what Tink Hens will be, and I love what Takeo Roby looks like right now. McGreevy's fun, but like none of these guys are like, and Brian Holiday's out for the year now, but like none of these guys are aces. Like maybe they become it, but like we can't bank on any of that for sure. We can't really bank on them being a 3-star. We can't bank on them being healthy. And so if they're going to compete in the near future, they're going to have to go out and find a guy who can top their rotation, and they're going to have to go find a number 3 hitter. That's not cheap. But the pro, to your point, is it's like, well, they have so much money coming off the books, and they already had so much money coming off the books, that it's like, if they don't need anything else, it's easier to go out and make those big moves then, because you're not like, well, we also need to sign a 5th starter, and we also need to sign X, Y. Oh, I guess they need bullpen help. But like, we know you can get that cheap and try to figure that out. But I think they really need to continue to see promise from some of these ancillary pieces, not because they'll be the new stars, but they'll allow them to be more aggressive if they can trust they have that lineup depth, they have the rotation depth, they have some bullpen options. Now they can go splash on something bigger, and they will have a smaller margin for error than like the Dodgers do, right? Where it's like the Dodgers have a $30 million pitcher go down, they have a $20 million pitcher to replace them. The Cardinals have their $30 million bat go down or $25 million arm go down. They don't got that right next to them, right? It's like it's one or done. But I mean, when you're a team like the market like St. Louis, you got to like they're always gonna be like a fringe team that never. They can try to extend their window as much as possible, but it shrinks their World Series odds significantly every year if they do that. Yeah. If they really want to compete in this market, they're going to have to figure out when they have a window, when they think here's our 3-year chance, and we go in and we know that, hey, it's going to be tough on the back end, but this is how you maximize your window these days.
Yeah. I mean, also remember when I said, like, I think it was New Year's, or you wanted some New Year's bold predictions or whatever, and you did those, and I wasn't there because I was traveling. And my bold prediction, you guys clowned me for it, but I said Eric Fetty will be terrible this year, and he will only get a borderline top 20 prospect in someone's organization like Matt Swanson.
Okay, it's not that bad right now, but it is not great.
It's gonna get like if he continues doing this way, he keeps walking that many guys, it's gonna get that bad. But whatever. Hopefully they can maximize their window. And getting Matt Swanson back for Paul DeJong is good, but getting Matt Swanson back for Tommy Edman in like 2 weeks of Eric Fetty is not good.
Yeah, true. Hey, well, Cardinals have a series of the Pittsburgh Pirates this week. Michael is on the mound Monday, so fun. Matthew Liberatore versus Paul Skeens on Tuesday. Love to see that. And then Mitch Keller and Sonny Gray on Wednesday. The Cardinals can stack another series win here. They'll end up being 18-20 by the end of that series, which would be huge. Scratching closer to 500, and the next weekend they play the Nationals, so they really have a chance to go on to get some. I'm not gonna say go on a run, but to claw back a little bit in the standings here. Again, I don't think any of us are gonna.
Cardinals are 4-2 since Ollie Marmol got ejected.
Hey, All he just needs to, whenever they start losing games, all he needs to find a way to be ejected. But do you think? I mean, I guess before we wrap up, do you think McGreevy sent down tomorrow? I think he probably is, but I think that's dumb.
I mean, why? Why would they do that?
Because
like what? Cardinals. I mean, I know why they would do that, and I understand why they would do that, but I
oh no,
just lost. Man. Well, Sandy will be back, I guess.
Oh no. We'll delay for a minute and see, or a few minutes, and see if Sandy comes in, because this might be worth it.
We can keep talking about I just saw it on my screen.
Oof. I mean, a couple other random things from this year. Well, Walker still looks terrible, so that's not good. Mason Wynn, the little ankle injury here.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Ankle sprain. I would assume he's probably gonna go on the IL. So probably gonna see Thomas and JC come back. We'll see. Burleson hit his first home run today. Woo! The power swing. Come on.
Bold prediction, Burleson, as I like to call him. Oof. If you know, then you know.
Yeah. Large new bar. Newt's been a little colder lately. Let's see, last 7 days. Yeah, 583 OPS, and his OBP is 226 over that stretch too. He's not drawing the walks like he was, so really need him to get going again. Donnie's starting to heat up a little bit more, but he's had a cold stretch. But obviously, you've been carried by Wynn, Scott, and Contreras as of late, and Pozo. Way to go, Pozo. That's the other thing. Okay, would you send down Pages right now instead of Pozo? I would.
I'd send down Luke and Baker. You guys made a good point today in the chat.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Because your DH, Burleson homer today. What's funny is that he was the first baseman, so the Cardinals still don't have a DH home run.
Yeah, true. Would you hear they've set the NL record for?
Is it?
It's NL record for most games to start a year without a
well, the NL's had the DH for 2 years.
That's one thing. But then the AL record is 50-something games, so they're not super far off that either now.
Yeah.
But I think it's so. Yeah. Do you want to hear the thought process behind it for people who haven't seen? Because we're like, why send out Baker? It's like. You send down Baker, you let Herrera DH for a little bit until his knee's okay, and then you potentially move down Pages. But then you've got Pozo and Pages still doing the catching stuff, and you ease Herrera back in, and you just get his bat back in.
The thing is with Pozo is that looking at his metrics defensively, he's just a worse version of Ivan Herrera. Not defensive. I think he's slightly better defensively, with the arm and stuff. But he's just a bad first catcher who's just not as good as Herrera. So I don't know why you would necessarily keep two of those guys on the roster, especially when you have one guy that could be borderline a really elite catcher in today's game. So I'm not really sold on that. And Pages, why am I the one who's advocating?
Well, I mean, I went and looked, and someone was like, Pages is so much better defensively. And again, small sample size. I don't actually think Pozo's a good catcher, but so far Pozo's graded out better blocking, framing, and with pop time. The only thing that Pages has on him is caught stealing above average, and he has him from a +1 to -1, so it's not that crazy different. And honestly, I don't love at the start of the year I did, and I'm fine with it if it works, but I don't think you have to do the whole Pages comes in late in the game for Herrera type thing, No,
I don't. Unless you're playing the Reds and Ellie De La Cruz is base or something. I hope he's back.
The man, the myth. Oof.
We
can't hear you.
Oh,
there you go.
How you doing, buddy?
Just had a crash out for the ages. This is not real. Sports, I gotta stop watching sports, dude. They hate me. I don't know what it is. It's not fair. I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well.
Guy, I don't deserve this. Cardinals have had the most painful season ever.
I was just if they had won, I was gonna ask you.
Did you say this was painful season ever? Were you not alive in 2023?
I was there. No, but the individual losses this year have been so.
Dude, did you forget the April 2023 in May where it was the
Helsley Blake Sable hit a walk-off home run off?
The Giants one was that Patrick Bailey.
No, it was Blake Sable.
2023 was worse, man.
Yeah,
because we're all just how is this happening? The Cardinals don't lose like this.
Yeah, that was bad.
But I do agree, it's been a bad year.
I mean, I don't know. They just took
an extras challenge impossible.
Well, they haven't played in extras for a while, but
I know. But
didn't they win one?
extras.
Didn't they win one?
I don't think so.
Maybe they won a 1-run game. They've won a couple 1-run games.
They won a run. They won two today. That was nice.
Yeah.
No, we have not won yet though. The Pirates game was brutal. That one was awful.
I will say, I feel like you're doing a little better than I thought you'd be. I thought you'd be fuming right now.
You missed. Yeah. Well, I got it all out. There were like 6 or 7 people over, and it was just bad. That's brutal. Couple Blues fans, couple neutral hockey fans, a couple of Stars haters. So that was good. We were getting amped up about watching the Blues against the Stars. I was gonna go. Like, I'm in Texas. I could have gone to a game. Yeah, I'm really sad. I was gonna pay whatever it took, man. I was gonna drive on. No, it's just nothing.
Man, that looked like a fun environment though. I was watching the first overtime, but
yeah, well, it was not fun. That's the best part. It was not fun at all for Winnipeg until there was 1 second left in the game. Like, actually ridiculous. And they didn't even score a real goal tonight, dude. 3 deflections, 3 goals when they were up a man. Like, they didn't score an even strength goal until that OT winner. Just brutal. Yeah. We had chances, couldn't get it done. Whatever. I'm in shambles.
Yeah.
When was the second goal scored with like 3 minutes left?
155, I think.
Oh gosh.
Sandy, do you want to channel your inner Chip Carey and tell us how many viewers we have currently?
Yeah, we got 69 viewers. Thanks, Chip.
There you go.
All right, what did I miss? What are we talking about? Are we just in shambles at the moment?
Andrew said the Cardinals should trade for Mike Trout, and
I did not say that.
That's a great take. Maybe pick up Anthony Rendon's contract while you're at it.
Yeah, just a swap Nato for Rendon, see what happens.
Oh,
I think Rendon's contract comes up sooner. So,
Andrew, we were there.
I was there.
That was horrendous.
I was at game 2.
I was not at the Halsey blow up.
I was at game 1 and game 2. I flew back. I spent so much of my own money to fly back to St. Louis to go to the games.
My favorite part of the chat right now is all these people who are like, now we're stuck with the Cardinals all summer.
Yeah, well, welcome over. There's always St. Louis City SC, but we suck too. Like, they're terrible, apparently.
Brutal. Also soccer, but whatever. Who's Brody Moore? Is the two-way player?
Maybe.
So
one thing Andrew and I talked about a little bit ago, I'm curious your take, Sandy, and then maybe we'll wrap it up and because we can continue these conversations moving forward. But I kind of talked about how one of my bigger takeaways right now from what we're seeing so far is like the lineup depth that the Cardinals have right now. Like they have the ability to be a really good offense, and really good as in like a bottom half of the top 10, but their ceiling is limited by the fact they don't have a superstar. And their floor is a little bit lower because the fact A, they don't have a superstar, and B, they're young, and so they waver a lot. And so like they could be 14th ranked offense, it could be the 8th ranked offense, who knows? But I'm very encouraged by the fact that you can see that they can perform at this level without a superstar, because then it's like if you plop in a superstar, this lineup becomes incredible, or could become incredible. If you put a Kyle Tucker in the middle of this, and then you have Will Contreras as your second bat, or Vanher as your third bat, and Newbar as your fourth bat, Donovan as your fifth bat, like the runs get really strong here. And we're talking about how like there's contenders with like the Dodgers, you have Kike Hernandez and like randos at the bottom of their lineup, and the Cardinals would have like Victor Scott and Mason Wynn at the bottom of their lineup, or I mean, honestly, like you have to, when you plop a bat in there, it's like, anyways, you'd have a really strong lineup. Now you're still missing the middle of the order bat is a problem, because that's the most important thing and the hardest thing to find and most expensive thing to get. So it's not easy to go get it, but I'm encouraged by what they can control right now is can they have pieces around it? And I think they do. And I think that's really encouraging for if you're someone that's hoping that they get back into contention sooner. It's like if they can somehow develop that guy, or they want to splash in free agency or make the trade, they're closer than I think people would think offensively. It's the pitching that's like, man, like that's a harder sell. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at least on the bright side, the interesting talent is all pitching right now at the minor league level, right? Like the Cardinals' top prospects, aside from JJ, are like almost all pitchers. So,
but how many of them are on the IL is what I'm.
Everybody except Tekoa Roby. And Tekoa Roby might have the scariest injury history of everybody. Yeah. Now, that's an interesting question from Kareem. We can address that in a second. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I just, not having a superstar sucks. And we've talked a lot about St. Louis's inability to, both produce and acquire star talent. I mean, I'm of the belief that as players get more expensive, right? As players tend to make more money in the coming years, right? We've now seen 2 players, and I know Shohei's contract is valued at 460, fine, whatever. We've got like 3 or 5 contracts now of over $400 million. between Trout, Judge, or no, Judge is 360. Vlad
I think
Guerrero.
it's just Vlad Guerrero, Ohtani, and Soto. But Ohtani doesn't even count. I don't count Ohtani because
it was over 400.
I mean, Tucker's going to get a crap ton here soon.
Tucker will get something like that. Yeah, it's crazy. But like the Cardinals are like, I mean, we can't even play in the 150 range right now. Like there's no way we ever are able to play in that range and acquire a true star.
I mean, Goldie was like
scares
that.
me.
Goldie's extension was in that range. They took on Nato's money, except it was complicated because they didn't take all of it.
Yeah,
but
Nato's money is so different, though. Also, taking on money is so different than signing that guy.
I mean, yes and no, because also well, here's the other thing. Like they did agree to take on all of Giancarlo Stanton's contract, and that was over $300 million a decade ago. And so it's like I don't think they're for sure. I think they're averse to that for sure when it comes to pitching. And unless Chaim Bloom's different, I don't think they will do it with a pitcher. But I don't think with a position player they're all that adverse to it. I think part of the reason we didn't see them play in those waters is because they did have Goldie and Nato under contract. And so they convinced themselves they don't need to go get Corey Seager or whoever these guys are because we already have those middle of the order bats. When a Dodgers team will be like, hey, we'll add another. The Cardinals are like, we'll pay for one or two at a time. We're not paying for three of those things.
Goldie's also different though, because you extended Goldie when he was what, like 32? Like you're not talking about
younger than that, I think, but
I don't know. How old's Goldie right now? Is he 37?
He's like 37 right now.
Yeah, I think Goldie was 32 when he signed that extension. Maybe 31. But like you're still talking about a guy. Yeah. Goldie played his first season in St. Louis at 31, and they extended him after that, right?
It's a 5-year deal.
No, I think they extended him right after they traded for him.
Yeah, it was right.
So he was a impending free agent, and they extended him. I think the extension was part of the deal.
They only took him through his age 36 season, so they didn't really
130 million over 5 years.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot, but that's what is that 26 a year? I mean that's like not that insane. And you're also talking about,
but it was also in 2019, which that was not. It still wasn't insane, but it was. I mean, it's more. It was a higher number back then. It is now.
Yeah, for sure. I totally get that, but you didn't have to do things that I think the Cardinals don't want to do, which is number one, you didn't have to commit a ton of money to a younger player, and you didn't have to go over 300 million. You also kept it under 30, and on top of all that, you didn't have to pay for those back end years that make teams uncomfortable. Like you look at when Xander Bogaerts was a free agent, the Padres wanted to go get him. They had to pay for those back end years.
That's a terrible signing, right? Like
I agree. It's an awful signing, but like that's what makes teams uncomfortable. And sometimes you have to do that to lock up a player like that. Like whoever gets Kyle Tucker is going to have him through his age 40 season.
Well,
and you're going to be paying him a ton of money through that year too. Look at Soto. Like Soto's going to be a New York Met until he's 40.
Soto, yeah, whatever.
Shohei's going to be a Dodger until he's 40.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, don't forget about this. The Cardinals had offered Jason Hayward over $200 million in free agency.
Yeah, it's crazy that he didn't sign here. That guy's the worst.
I mean, that would have taken.
I'm glad he signed with the Cubs, man.
I am too.
I mean, I'm not to complain about that, but I think that would have taken him into his late 30s too. And so, like, I don't think they're as adverse to it. I think they didn't they didn't push themselves over the edge like we thought they should. But I don't think they're adverse to getting one or two guys. And David Price. They was one time one up there.
There was a Godfather offer. But I don't understand why. Like, I mean, maybe their talent evaluation is different than mine. But like, why
Mm-hmm.
are you willing to go that far with Hayward and not willing to like make the Bryce Harper deal happen?
Well, I mean, at that time, again, Hayward at that time, people were always like, he's super good. And they thought I think most people thought he had more in the tank offensively than he ever showed.
Yeah.
And he was coming off a 121 or 117 OPS.
No, he was really good in Atlanta. And he was really good here.
He finished 15th in goal and MVP voting in his 1 year in St. Louis.
Yeah, he was awesome. And we gave up a lot to get him asset-wise.
Yeah.
Shelby Miller was a legit piece.
Yeah. The Bryce Harper one is crazy to me. And it's I can't remember who
Bryce Harper preferred the Cubs, allegedly. That's what came out.
I think he would have come to
No, he preferred the White Sox.
The
White
Cubs.
Sox.
Ken Rosenthal just reported this like last week.
Did you not see the thing where he asked his wife, like, was it not Harper? He was
like,
hey, what team meeting did I like the most? She was like, the White Sox.
Well,
that was the Harper.
Cubs never had a meeting with him, though. He wanted to go to the Cubs.
Harper wanted to go to the Cubs, and then like Harper also wanted to go to the White Sox. Maybe just like Chicago. And then like the owner of the White Sox didn't show up to that.
Yeah, he no-showed the meeting, which is crazy.
Yeah. But I do think like if the Cardinals had gotten aggressive in there, I think he would have been interested. I mean, it sounds like I think I've asked Eric, or I think I've asked Eric Gould about this before, and he said that he had interest in the Cardinals. Yeah. They just didn't have interest in him. Now, doesn't mean that he was the team he wanted to go to the most, but I do. And again, also we are about to see transition of leadership, and like Chaim Bloom did go out and sign Trevor Story, which was not a cheap contract. And they but he also extended Rafi Devers.
So bad for Story, like it's tough.
Yeah. But then again, he gave Rafi Devers over $300 million.
Yeah, that's true.
So like,
he also signed like the one bad NPB free agent in the last like 5 years, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not say the one bad. Like Kikuchi was not good with the Mariners.
That was a long time ago.
Shogo Akiyama was terrible. Like there have been bad guys that come over. Let's not. He's just not Shohei Ohtani or Roki Sasaki.
Well, the Cubs stole Seiya Suzuki, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely with you in terms of like, but also Boston is a much bigger market than St. Louis. Boston's a true big market. And
yeah, but you don't have to push your payroll into the 250, 300 range and have a contract like that. Because again, they've been carrying Nato and Goldie and having big salaries. It's just like right now. I mean, if we go backtrack, it's like they had to go trade for those guys to bring them in, and then they thought their young core would surround them. And in 2022, you'd have this like Gorman come up and all these different guys that could lengthen your lineup, and they just were delayed and they didn't happen. And it's like now it's the reverse is happening. They have all the ancillary pieces around. They just don't have the stars in the middle. And their payroll is just like, I mean, they're at 140 right now. And they'll be at like 110, 120 after this offseason with money coming on. Actually, less than that. But then you have Arb raises, but not that crazy.
And they could trade Arenado too.
Again, that's not getting rid of Arenado's money. Gray's money, which will come off the books next year, is 35. So like you've got, I mean, again, they're going to pay Sonny Gray $35 million next year.
Yeah, but that's a backloaded contract. It's a 25 average. Like that's not crazy to me.
Yeah, but I'm saying they were willing to on a single year pay a pitcher $35 million.
That's true.
So
I wish they'd front-loaded that contract, man.
Yeah, that was dumb. But I'm not totally doubting.
I never understood backloading that deal.
I'm not doubting. I think you have a point that I'm afraid they could go down that route. I just think they've shown us enough things in the past that they're willing to extend, but they have limitations to it that I think we think are dumb.
Yeah, I think my big worry is like you need the Cardinals to stay a huge brand in St. Louis. And like if ticket revenue keeps decreasing, I mean, winning fixes everything. But the problem is now you're at a point where revenue is down and performance is down. And it's going to be hard to break that cycle. You know, I mean, they can only drop so far. Like attendance can't go down that much worse than it has been lately. I mean, I guess it can get worse. And a lot of the tickets are sold before the season with those season ticket deals. So maybe if people don't invest in those next offseason, you see another big dip in revenue there. But like my worry is if gate revenue continues to drop and with the uncertainty around your broadcasting rights and all of that, like I do fear a future where the Cardinals are, because they've been running out like 175 million payrolls, right? Pushing up to 180-ish. In recent years. Right now you're at 140, and I fear a future where the Cardinals drop below this to like the 120 range and sit there. Like that's what really scares me. What scares me is a future where the Cardinals have lost enough money. And I understand like Bill DeWitt's operated a loss before, at least for the baseball team, right? Like BPV doesn't count. People cite that all the time. That doesn't count. It's not the same venture, unfortunately. Yes, it's all going to the same place at the end of the day, but not as far as, you know, what we see in the numbers we see. But I worry about something where all of a sudden the Cardinals you're hard stuck at 120 or $115 million. And it's like, if that's as much as they want to do, you are never going to land a superstar. It's never happening.
I feel like
players are going to get more and more expensive. You're going to have guys making $45 million a year at some point soon. And we're not ready for that future.
Well, man, I think they know that though. And I just highly doubt that when they're contending, they're like, we're not pushing above 120. I could see in years where they're like on the fringes, but like, I would personally, I'd be shocked if they don't, if their new cap isn't where they're at before. Because I think they were planning on going over the 200 and then they ended up going to reverse. And so I think they will get back to the 170s, especially because
I hope they do.
Again, maybe not though, but we'll see. But also, I do think there's a good point too from Samuel. It's like there is going to be a new CBA, and I do think it's going to change the landscape,
fix a lot.
and it could help them.
It could help us a lot.
So, There might be some caps, and I hope a floor. I do hope they force teams like the Pirates to spend and the Rays to spend, because it's good for baseball if other teams are spending too. But we'll see what happens. So, any other big topics you guys want to cover? I think we've pretty much beat the horse dead with most of it today. But hey, good series win though against one of the best teams in baseball.
Are you believing in the Cardinals now that they took 2 out of 3 from the second best team in the National League?
Oh, no, but I'm happy that they're only 4 games below 500 now instead of 8.
3 games.
Oh, 3 instead of 7. Yeah, I mean, had they lost both games today, the record would look very different than it does now. So that's a big positive, right?
And you got the Pirates and the Nationals. So
you got Skeens and Keller, so great.
Well, Skeens can't pitch against Cardinals apparently, so we should be okay. But
man, the National League wildcard race is going to be so tough this year. Golly.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in as always. Sorry, Blues fans. This is a moment where I'm glad I'm not into hockey, though. I'm going to be honest. But
yeah, those highlights are going to live rent-free in my head for the next few weeks.
Tough. Which is worse, the Helsley blown save or this?
Oh, that's the latest game-tying goal in Game 7 history.
Oh, brutal.
In any round of the playoffs.
Yikes.
I mean, it was 1.6 seconds is that is it's not a David Friesian level collapse a la Ron Washington and the Rangers, because it wasn't, the Stanley Cup final or anything like that. But that is that's probably one of the best wins in Jets history. They've never won the cup. Maybe they've won one. I don't think they've won the cup before though. And if that's the case, that's brutal. So
brutal.
Yeah, it's a highlight for them for sure.
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, to this episode. Again, we'll be live probably Wednesday or so. Again, talk about Pirate series, and we'll keep you up to date on Mason Wynn and all that stuff too. Hopefully, he's not out too long. Getting big series from Victor Scott. Hopefully, Michael McGreevy gets to stay because he's been awesome. We appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Birds on the Farm this week, I'm guessing. I think there'll probably be an episode, maybe. Who knows? And yeah, we always appreciate the support as always. So like and subscribe, helps channel a ton, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Blues.